Welcome to Fly on the Wall podcast. I'm your host, Chris Sonkson, CEO and founder of Church Boom. Here you get to sit in on a live coaching session as I coach pastors through the ministry challenges we all face. If you find this podcast helpful, please make sure to like, subscribe, and share. Hey everyone, welcome to the podcast. We're talking with my buddy Darren from Oklahoma. We're talking about how to raise up leaders and the importance of leadership and the difference that it makes. It's a great conversation. I want to encourage you to check out churchboom.org. And if you are not part of the Church Boom Network, go to the website, sign up for the Church Boom Network. You got monthly calls that happen. You have exclusive webinars for you. You have in-person events. You will absolutely love it. We believe everybody should belong to a tribe. Okay, whether you're in a denomination or you're non-denominational, a tribe of pastors across the nation who are growing together, learning together, and doing life together. That's the Church Boom Network. So make sure to check that out at churchboom.org. But let's jump into the conversation with Darren. I think you're going to love this one today. Hey, let's jump into it, man. How can I serve you today? What's on your mind?
Yeah, well, all things leadership development, because we just love that in the local church context. And so I just want to throw you some questions about developing leaders in the local church context. So here's the first one. Why is leadership development an essential in a local church context?
Yeah, that's a great, good question. It's interesting. I would say, I'll start by saying this. I think that a lot of leaders, pastors, they leave leadership development to chance or to intuition. And you've heard me say before that intuition is not duplicatable. Just because someone has intuition doesn't mean they can duplicate that in other people. The church doesn't go, like in any organization, it's not going to go any farther than the leadership. It's amazing to me that I think in general, someone would say, man, leadership's important. Oh yes, God always uses leaders. And then if I were to say to them, and how do you develop at your church? Who's in your pipeline? How many leaders do you want trained in the next 6 months? Like if you start digging in, you'll find that the system isn't there. But I would say, obviously, I think leadership's the first thing Jesus did. He went out and found leaders, disciples, but leaders. Peter was the first pastor of the first local church. I mean, he went and found leaders. But I think the church isn't going to go any farther than the leadership. Secondly, I really believe, and I just talked to another pastor about it recently. I just said, look, there's several things, but one of them are leadership. If you're developing leaders, I call that digging ditches. If you dig the ditch, God gives the rain. I think that we pray for rain, Darren. I think we pray for rain, and then I think sometimes God's going, and where do you plan on keeping this rain? You know, yeah, where are you going to keep it? But it's like a guy going, man, we want 200 people more in our church. You ready for that? Yeah, like you got the leadership in place, you got teams in place, you got small groups developed, you got someone that could lead 3 services, not just one. You've got 2 children's pastors. I want to go multi-site. Really? Who's going to be the children's pastor over there? Well, we don't have anybody. Okay, then that's a problem. So I think nothing grows without leadership. I mean, obviously God does whatever he wants in the Holy Spirit, but in general, God always uses leadership. Secondly is, I think when you want to grow and you want to develop and you want more rain, more harvest, I just don't know how you're going to hold on to it if you don't dig the ditch. And I think part of digging the ditch or digging the reservoir or whatever you want to call it, part of digging that is leadership. And you can't leave it to chance. You can't just say, yeah, I don't know, man. I know a person and then I just start hanging out with them and then I move them into leadership. I'm like, that is so not duplicatable. Tell me what you're doing. What's the system? Who's doing what? How many people are doing whatever their system is? I mean, we have a leadership ladder we teach at Church Boom University, all that. But it doesn't matter to me what your leadership pipeline is, whatever you decide to do, a person, but have one. Yeah. Don't leave it to chance. The church doesn't go farther than the leaders. It just doesn't.
So good.
So
good. Here's a follow-up question to that. Maybe this begs the question. Is there a difference between discipleship and leadership development? Because you see a lot of churches out there that are all about discipling, That's what the Bible tells us to do. You mentioned that he had disciples and he spent all his time with them, Jesus did. So is there a difference? And if there is or isn't, how do they play together?
Wow, that's a great question. I don't know if anybody's ever asked me that question. I do think there's a difference because I think everybody should be discipled. I don't think everybody should be a leader, but everybody should be discipled.
Wow.
Everybody. My mom passed away a few years ago. She was not a leader from the word go. She was the shyest person on the planet. I don't know how. I don't know how I came from her, but because she is crazy shy, crazy quiet. I mean, she would have a hyperventilate if you introduced her in front of 100 people. But she needed to be discipled. So I think discipleship's for everyone. I don't think leadership is for everyone. I think that both can happen because here's what I think happens. Think about Jesus. Did they all go on to be amazing leaders? Maybe not. We don't know, but we know some of them. We know Peter, James, and John. Isn't that interesting that he had 12 disciples? He was discipling everybody, but he picked out 3. I would say he picked out 3. This is my own language. It's not the language, in the Bible. I don't know if there's language to it, but there was 12 and he was discipling them, but he picked out 3 to train them to lead. I mean, he spent time with them, and whatever they talked about, whether it's in scripture or not in scripture, because not every single conversation is obviously in scripture, whatever it was, they became leaders. Then you go in John 21 when Jesus meets them at the shore and he has that conversation with Peter. Then you turn around just a couple of years later, and what's Peter described as? The guy that's turning the world upside down, and he's preaching and people are coming to Christ daily and he's leading. And then he says, now I'm going to have you guys do the food and you're going to take care of the beverages and you're going to take care of making sure everybody has everything they need. And I'm going to lead. So Jesus did it. I mean, he did it. He discipled and at the same time was bringing people up into leadership. So I think everybody's to be discipled. I don't think everybody's called to lead. I think you find those leaders and you develop them. And that's a different thing where they're leading, they're developing something. Discipleship is more about them. Leadership is more about others. And that's how I would separate those two. But both are very important, obviously. And if you look at Jesus, he did both. Maybe he didn't call it what we call it today. Maybe the verbiage was different, but obviously he made Peter a leader. That's obvious.
So good.
But he didn't do that with everybody, but he did it with Peter.
So with my leadership circle, got 7 guys around the table, and it's going fantastic. But I find myself, as I'm asking them questions about what we're reading together and getting their take and hearing their feedback, that I want to disciple them too. So obviously that's a natural response from a spiritual leader. But what does that look like, discipling leaders?
Yeah, that's great. So, and you're going into what we talk about a lot at Church Boom University. You have the church, the volunteers, the leaders, the leadership circles, and leadership apprenticing. 100% agree with it. I think Paul and Timothy, that was leadership apprenticing from the word go. That was apprenticing, no question about it. And look at 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 2, you can see the apprenticing happening. So I think that's an important part. I think it's natural for us as pastors and us as leaders that discipleship is, I hope it kind of comes out of us. We put together a leadership circle and we start going through a leadership book. But let's get honest. The conversations start happening one-on-one, before the circle, after the circle. It happens with this person, and they're talking about leaders learn to trust. Leaders build trust. Then all of a sudden you're having a conversation with someone afterwards. It's like, I find I don't really do well at home or work. I sure don't do well at home. Well, why don't you do well at home? How do you build trust as a person? And where have you been broken in your trust? And can you trust God? Like, it's going to come out of us. I think that it's interesting. I think there's an organicness, which I don't even think is a word, but there's an organicness that happens in discipleship. I think organic and organized. Organic happens in that discipleship. You're around, you're rubbing shoulders. And the organizational side is No, I'm going to develop you to be a leader. This is how you lead a small group. This is how you lead a children's ministry. This is how you do check-in. This is how you deal with conflict with parents. This is how you do a leadership meeting. This is how you prepare for a leadership meeting. Here's how you put this sermon together. It moves from this organic to when they become a leader, like, oh no, this is exactly how you do it. And you got to get really practical with them. So I feel there's a little bit of an organic in the leadership circle. I've done a ton of leadership circles, and there's always this discipleship mechanism that just seems to happen. But I know the next goal is, of those 7, can I get 1 or 2 from there to start apprenticing on that leadership ladder and start bringing them deeper in a little bit more deeper? So I think it just kind of happens, at least in the structure that you're talking about.
Yeah. So in that leadership circle, and in any other relationship for that matter, you get to know these people and you know where they're at. What about those high capacity people? Are you developing them differently than someone who may not have quick learning and getting stuff done at a higher capacity? You developing them differently?
Is that in the circle or in the apprenticing you're talking about?
Just in any dimension, any relationship.
Yeah. When you have
on the staff, on church leadership teams, relationships with board members.
Okay.
Just high capacity people in general.
Yeah. So what I've learned and what I've been coached, as you know, I have 2 coaches. I've had them for 12, 13, 14 years. So, and I remember years ago, one of my coaches telling me, when you get high capacity people, high capacity, like they're leading at a high level, they have a very large business that they've built that's worth X amount of dollars. There's not a lot that you're going to say to them that's going to blow them away when it comes to leadership. Now, they will have some things they need to learn in the volunteer world that they're not used to, where they got to learn how to raise up volunteers, develop volunteers. You can't just fire someone. This is not it's very different. You have a lot to consider when you're dealing with a conflict. When you got 600 employees and you tell a guy, empty out your desk, everybody's like, by the next day, everybody's back to normal. But that's not how it is in the church world. So there's a little bit that I think you can share when it comes to context. But what I was taught by my coach years ago was, with those kind of people in your life, you bring something to them that nobody brings. And that is this. Let's say they got 500 employees and they got a big business. Everybody wants their business. Everybody wants the guy's time. Everybody wants that guy to go to a golf tournament, to write a check for $100,000 for diabetes. Everybody's like after this guy. The bigger you get, the more people. He said, but no one's asking them about their marriage. No one's asking them about their children. No one's asking them about their insecurity of their own heart. No one's asking them about learning to forgive. Things that are not things that the people in their world Monday through Friday are engaging with them. Everybody wants someone them. No one's sitting and going, hey, look, let's just role play here. Darren, you're a high level leader. And I think there's some context of leadership you could learn in the church. It is different. There's so many things that you already know. But no one has honest conversations with you. I would bet most people at your work aren't having an honest conversation with you about your job. About your marriage, about your kids, about the hurt, about the struggle, about forgiveness, about your upbringing. And if I can ever just walk with you on that, mentor you in that, hold you accountable in that, let me know. I met with a very, very high level donor just a few days ago. And we met, and I meet with him all the time. And the guy is just crushing it. He's got 6 businesses and worth millions and millions of dollars. But man, he'll sit there and cry right at the table. I bet he doesn't do that at work. How things going at home? How do you feel about that? What's happening with your son? What does that make you feel like? He goes, makes me feel like a failure. And I go, well, let's talk about that. And so value gives you voice. So my voice increases the more value I give to the person. That's what I've noticed. That's what I've noticed with high level people. Go to the place that most people don't go to with them. because that value you give to them will give you a voice in their life. Then you can talk about leadership and, and they want to be involved more and they want to use their resources more, which I'm not saying that's the whole point, but that's the end game. But the most important thing is you're connecting with them at a level that no one's connecting with them.
So good. Wow. Value
gives you voice. Value always gives you voice. The more value you add to someone, the more voice you have in their life.
Love that.
So give them value.
So when we're at different levels with people, developing them, what are we looking for when it comes to apprenticing? You mentioned that a while ago. When it comes to taking them to another level, pulling them aside and spending a little bit more time with them, what qualities are we looking for?
Yeah, for the people that you kind of want to raise up. Yeah, there's a few that I definitely look for, and I encourage people to look for. These are things that I enjoy looking for. Number one, are they gravitational? Meaning, do people just want to be around them? Do they walk into a room and man, they can rally people together? People follow that person. People naturally are around them. You don't have to be an extrovert for that. So don't get enamored by an extrovert. But it's just a matter of that people just like that person. They're likable, capable, gravitational. Are they gravitational? That's a big thing that I look for. Do they have a track record of building things? And I'm not saying they're going to have all these things, but these are the things I'm looking for. Like, man, yeah, he took over a department at his work and man, he built it up to this, or he took a company that was here and built it to this. He did that. Like, does he have the ability to build things? Is he, which I think are so important, is he hungry and humble? Because those two go hand in hand. If you're humble, you'll be hungry. If you're hungry, you're most likely you're humble. But if you're not humble, you're probably not going to be hungry. So you got to be hungry and humble. Those are the things that I look for. So gravitational. Do they have a track record of building something? Do they want to learn? Are they hungry? And do they desire to learn? Now there's the natural stuff, Darren, of like character and loyalty, but I kind of assume we all kind of know those things. But when I'm looking at really like the profile, can this guy do that? Does it? And I also like trajectory. Like I can see this guy growing more. This is where he's at, but this is where I think he could get with the right help and with the right training. And the one thing I really, really, really like in a leader, I like grit. Man, this guy's just going to figure it out. He is going to figure it out. If he's got to watch 19 YouTube videos on how to lead a team, he'll figure it out because he's just that guy, and there's got to be some grit there. But it's just like, he wants to do it. Go ahead.
How do you find that out? How do you find out if they have grit?
Yeah. I think some of that is so for me, when I'm in a circle with someone, a leadership circle, like 7 people going through a book together once a month, twice a month, conversations start coming out when you go through a leadership book, because you're in a book and you're like, I really like this on page 21. And then you're kind of talking about, the reason I like that is because one time I remember at work and, where I grew up was, and I just remember one time that, man, I had to start this thing and the boss wanted me to do this, or I got my company off the ground, and he starts telling you a funny story where it's like, man, I had to go door to door myself to 1,000 homes, to launch my company. And I was up at 6 a.m. to go 6 at night. And he's laughing about it. Like, how crazy was that? To me, I'm thinking that guy's got grit. It comes out where it's just like, okay, he's not lazy. He's not lazy. He's not lazy at all. And you can tell he's gravitational. You can tell he knows how to build. You can tell he wants to learn. Why does he want to learn? Because he's in there going, he shows up. He's got the book ready. He's like, yeah, this is really interesting. And I was really thinking about like how that affects my life. You can pick up on that. That's why I think circles are so important. Because I can think back of people that I've, when I did a circle with the guy that took over the lead role at South Hills that I founded, now I have a different role there. He was a PE teacher, and I brought him into I don't know, 13, 14 years ago, brought him into a circle. And it was like, man, this guy's always asking great questions, always pressing hard, always talking about this, always pushing this, always pushing this. Told me I learned that he went to school and had to work 2 jobs because his parents didn't have the money for him to go to college. So he would work in the morning, go to school, then work at night, then do homework at midnight, then do it again the next day. I was like, and then you just start realizing this guy's got grit. Now, he wasn't a business guy. He did PE teaching, but I wasn't blinded by that. Like, it wasn't like he built a big business, but I thought he's got grit. He's gravitational. I can just tell when he walks around the church, people like the guy. He's hungry and he asks crazy good questions. Like those things start coming out, and I think he could build something. Now, I didn't have proof of the building on him, but I put him in some different areas. I had him volunteer in a few areas. I was like, wow. And I could instantly realize. So I beta tested him on something for about 6 months. Hey, can you help me with this? He did it. And I thought, this guy can build, so he just had it. And then a year later, he quit his job and he was on the team as a small groups director. Now he's
so good,
leading 12 campuses, 3 schools, and all that. But it all started in a circle.
In that circle, you're involved in strategic listening.
100%. Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. Because remember, you and I've talked about this because I do executive coaching with you and your great team. Sifting and sorting. Remember those words. So let's pretend I have a circle right now, and you're part of the circle. I'm just listening and going, interesting, interesting, interesting. How they say, the cream rises to the top. It rises to the top in a circle. By the time you're on your, the 5th or 6th or 7th time you've met, it's like you're starting to realize, okay, I can see who's doing what around here. I mean, you just listen, and I love that phrase, by the way. It's a great phrase, really great phrase, strategic listening. I've never said that, but I'm going to steal it, and it's going to go in my book now. But I give nobody credit.
No one credit.
No one credit. But I like strategic listening because you're able to sift and sort, and then you can figure out like, okay. And then now notice when I was thinking about this one person, I started apprenticing because there was enough there. But then I started meeting with him one-on-one because there was enough there. And then I gave him a short-term assignment that had to do with building because I was like, I don't know if he knows how to build or not. Then all of a sudden he built it. Then we moved him to small group director. And at that campus, we probably had, I think, 45 small groups. In 12 months, he went from 45 to 98, I think it was, small groups. Wow. He's a builder. And
you said it right there. I love that. Every leader, there was enough there. There was enough there because you were strategically listening. There was enough there. There was enough there.
Yes. And this is a subject I love, obviously, but this is so important because I find guys that struggle maybe at whatever the number is in their church or wherever they're at, whatever that number is. And when you kind of poke around a little bit and you start asking some pretty strong questions like, so tell me about your leadership development. Who's developing who? Who are you developing right now? Who's your team developing right now? How many leaders have you brought up? How many leaders has the children's pastor brought up to be just as good as them? When you start poking around with questions, you get a lot of, we kind of, you get this they're kind of talking their way in the conversation, but I'm reading it thinking, they don't have any idea. And messages inspire, but systems change behavior. And they don't have a system to change the behavior of the leadership development in the church. And they have to be able to answer that question or questions. Like, how are you doing? Who's up and coming? Who's going to be your next campus pastor? Who do you have for that? Like, if there's not a system, I'm telling you, Darren, next time you talk to someone that's struggling, people come to you for advice, just say, well, tell me what you do for leadership. How do you develop them? Not just you, your whole team. I will 9 times out of 10, if not 9.5 times out of 10, you'll get there's no clear path. And if it's a fog to them, it's just a disaster to everybody else. And they don't do it. And then they wonder where it's like, well, I don't know why my friend's church growing and why does that guy get offered all those campuses? Because God gives the rain to those that dig the ditch. That's it. They dug the ditch. It's not an accident. They got there because they thought about it, and there's Hillsong, of course, had its problems in the last few years, but I got to go there. My daughter went to Bible college there, and I got to visit there and meet some of the staff and people and all that. And they acted real casual up front. Then I got to go in the war room or the staff room, and I was like, they are so strategic. It feels organic. Hey, if you just want to, it felt very, very loose from the front, very casual, which I think was their intent. Like, hey, we just love God, and if you want to move forward, here's some areas you could do it. But they're back here behind there going, this is how we're going to raise up leaders. This is how many volunteers we need in the next 30 days. This is how we're going to grow. I was like, man, they are organized behind the doors. It's like, wow, they came across all casual, but they were, at least when I visited them a few years ago, they were so methodical about what they were doing and how they were going to get to that next level.
Okay. Do I have time for one more question?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So leaders delegate. But I was reading a book many years ago by Gordon MacDonald entitled Going Deep, and he really challenged his own position as a shepherd and pastor of his church, where he felt like that the Lord was saying to him that you are a chief training director, CTD, chief training director. So he moved all of his responsibilities off the shelf and just began to develop leaders. So of course, this is my passion to develop leaders, so it's not a problem for me. But for any senior leader out there, what's their responsibility when it comes to training leaders? Is that something you delegate or you're always involved in?
Personally, I feel that you're always involved in. It might look different as it grows. It might look different as it develops. But I think you always have to have your hand in the game of developing leaders. I think it keeps you on the cutting edge. I think it models the leadership development to the rest of the team. I think your hand's got to be in it. Now, you start getting into, we've got 8 sites and we're running 12,000 people, and we got a school and a leadership academy. It might change, but I can promise you this, you're still identifying who the leader is. So Mark Cole is the owner of the John Maxwell companies, all 7 of them. And we've been friends for many, many years. And in talking with Mark, that guy's it's different. He's the owner of the John Maxwell companies, worldwide, massive, hundreds of employees, all that stuff. But when I talk to him, he's always got his eye and relationship building on someone he's about to recruit. Like, there's this guy that I really like in Utah. There's this guy over here and, up in North Carolina. There's this guy over here in New York, wherever, California, LA. There's this guy. It's like, I like him. I've been talking to him. I think he's a good fit for the team. I'm interviewing him without him knowing I'm interviewing him. I'm about to offer him a job. And it's different as you get bigger, but that's when you're way over here. In the normal world of church life, I think your hand's always in leadership development. It always is. I mean, we were at, 6, 7 campuses. I was still having a leadership circle, still doing leadership apprenticing, still raising people up. And it hasn't ended. I'm still on the hunt, always looking, always developing, thinking about something. Because the difference when you take you as a leader and you put incredible, just think of 3 or 4 leaders that you somewhat know, maybe you know them really well or you somewhat know them. And you're just like, man, they are sharp leaders. Okay. And this guy, and this guy. Say 4 guys that you can think of. I don't know, whatever. They're just here. Man, they're sharp. And, imagine if all 4 called you and said, we're going to work with you for the next 10 years. What would happen to the church? It would be unreal what would happen, because you have stallions and thoroughbreds running together. So all that to say, everything is about getting people, either high level people or people to a high level area, and getting them around you. It's that book I think I gave to you or sent to you through CBU, Who Not How. It's like, get the right who's around you. Imagine if you had 4 10s around you. Just like, all right, you're going to be in charge of that. You'll be in charge of that. You're leading it, but they're out there. You don't even have to babysit them at all. They will run this thing. This guy, you develop our multi-site. You develop this campus, you develop the Leadership Academy, and you develop all things systems and maintenance and HR and all that. Your world would radically change because you put amazing people around you. I always say this, if you meet a lead pastor, don't ask him a lot about his church, and then meet his top 3 or 4 people that are closest to him, not his wife, but people that are closest to him on the team, people have the highest positions. You can pretty quickly guess what their church is like, attendance and everything else. It's just, you don't have, you can go in and think, man, you've got some stellar people around you. Well, no, what? Yeah, it can grow. Or, man, you don't, some of these people around you are just, they're good people, but they're definitely not going to take you to that next level. And I would doubt that you're bigger than this. I would doubt it's more the church is bigger than this, because your team has revealed that. It's like looking at a professional. I love baseball, MLB. It's like going to an MLB and going, all of these 9 players on the field, maybe they're junior college level. Now, you could look at that team and then be a prophet and look into the future at the end of the season, and you pretty much guess they're not going to have a winning season. Now, why didn't they have a winning season? Stadium was nice. Building was nice. Concessions were nice. The fans were nice. The food was good. But your top 9 players, they're just not at that level.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna sneak in one more really fast.
Yeah, please go ahead. Fire away. We got time.
Okay. So you're saying, imagine what can happen. I'm just sitting here as a senior leader thinking, I just want to reach more people. All these guys out there, gals, they want to reach more people. So is leadership development the it factor in any given local church context?
It's hard to go it because then it excludes the other things that I think are it. But I would classify it into the it category. You can't be without it. You have to have it. It's a must. And by the way, local church pastor that's saying, I just want to reach people. I want to make a difference in my community. I want more people to come to Christ. I want, whatever they want, hopefully from a genuine heart. Okay. But I'm telling you how to get there. Only thing Jesus wanted to do was reach people. It's the only thing he wanted to do. And what was the very first thing he did? He went and found 12 people and made 3 of them high-level leaders. That's what he did. He didn't go out and hang out for 2-3 years by himself. He immediately, and then what did Peter do? Peter said, okay, you're going to do this, you're going to do this, you're going to do this, you're going to do this. I'm going to lead here. We already talked about that. Okay, hold on. Where did he learn that from? Where did he learn it from? The only leader he had in his life. That's where he learned it from. He organized. And so I hope everybody that's a pastor is like, man, I want to reach people for Jesus. I want to make populate heaven, make it crowded, blah, 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 blah. Let's assume we all want that pure heart. Okay, but you're not going to get to your fullest unless you learn to develop leaders. And people will say, well, it cracks me up if anybody pushes back, because I'm like, just look at what Jesus did. And then isn't it ironic he pulled Peter, James, and John? And then isn't it ironic Peter became the first pastor of the first local church? And then isn't it ironic that they saw thousands come to the Lord, and then he had to get organized and he said, I'm going to teach, you're going to do this, you're going to do this, and you got to cook, you got to serve the people. It's ironic to me. Where did he get it from? Where did he learn all this leadership? I think we miss that. He learned it from Jesus. So yes, I think it is, I don't know if is the single it, but it's hard to argue anything above it. Besides God moving, besides the presence of God there, let's assume we all know that, because everybody likes, what about God's presence? I'm like, look, man, I'm assuming we all know we need that. Let's put that aside. Okay, let's get practical, because leadership is going to develop volunteers. You can develop volunteers, but if you don't have leaders, you're in trouble. So leaders actually, now that becomes the thing. I think the right kind of leaders are going to develop strategy. The right kind of leaders are going to develop multi-site. The right kind of leaders are going to develop generosity culture. But the right leaders got to be in there. You can build teams without leaders. And then all of a sudden it's like, what are we going to do with all these people? No one's leading them. Oh, we're going to do multi-site. Not without leaders, you're not. Or we're going to grow more. We're going to do a leadership academy. We're going to discipleship people. We're going to grow our small group to be citywide. Not without leaders, you're not. So yeah, I would, it's hard to always put something as number one, but if you look what connects in what I would call an ecosystem, the ecosystem, what's at the center of the ecosystem? Leadership. Because everything is birthed out of that. Without it, that doesn't happen.
Yeah. And then onboarding them quickly.
Yeah.
So don't just spend all your time developing. Raise them up, release them.
Right.
And let's go.
Raise them, release them, and then stay in touch, keep them accountable, keep them growing, keep them developing. Raise up leaders. It is the first thing that Jesus did. And somehow we miss that. It is the thing. Because when you raise up leaders, it's like me giving you 4, 10, scale of 1 to 10, 4, 10 leaders. I promise you in 24 months, it is a different game altogether for you. You will have things, because you don't have to babysit them. They know how to do it. If you have an amazing leader and you're like, I want to go multi-site, fine, I'll take care of that for you. I want to start a leadership academy. Got it. Got it. They don't, they're just going to go. I've had those kind of leaders on my team. I have 1 or 2 right now. I don't have 4, but I don't ever check in with them. I don't ever have to, if anything, I got to pull them back, but I'd rather tame a wild horse than raise a dead one. Those guys are just like, they're gone. They're going. And you don't ever have to worry about it. They're having leadership meetings. They're meeting with people across the nation. Oh, I just got a phone with this person. I'm like, oh, I didn't even know we were fostering a relationship with that person. Oh yeah, this is what's happening. It just, high level leaders make all the difference. They really do.
Yeah. And when you're wanting those 10s to come to the surface, you got to let those thoroughbreds run.
Oh, 100%.
Give them the accountability, give them the praise, but you gotta let them run. And you got to keep in mind, don't you, that we are wanting to raise up high capacity leaders, not just mediocre leaders or leaders that are high maintenance. We want high capacity. And
100%.
So we got to let them run.
100%. I love that you said that. You're not looking for, they're kind of okay. You're looking for people that are just high capacity. And then, yes, you got to let them run. Man, you constrain them. You don't trust them. You don't believe in them. You're always looking over their shoulder. If you get someone you trust, someone that's loyal to you, and someone that runs fast, hang on to them. Do whatever you got to do.
And those 10s, some of the things you can develop, some are innate. Am I right on that?
I would say so. There's some I think that God...
We can develop high capacity leaders, but some of them, they just are just because of who God created them to be.
Right. Well, yeah. And if you argue that, you just go to the parable of the talents. To one he gives 5, to one he gives 2. I don't know. And I would imagine to one he gives 5, to one he gives 4, to one he gives 3. I mean, like, it's all over the map. But the point is, like, I look at John Maxwell, I'm like, he just has it. Whatever it is, he has it, and he had it, he did it, whatever. And I always say this, I don't have a problem when someone's a kind of a level 3 leader. I have a problem when they're a level 3 leader living at a level 2 place.
Wow.
That's the problem. So they're a level 3 leader, but they're living at a level 2 place. It's like, dude, you're a lot better than this. Well, here's what I mean by that is that I think and I don't know if you and I have talked about it before, but there's a difference between capacity and lid. Capacity is what, or lid and capacity. Lid is what we put on ourselves. Capacity is what God puts on us. So when there's a level 3 leader living at a level 2 level, what that tells me is God has way bigger capacity for you, but you, for whatever reason, are living at a 2 level, meaning you've put a lid on yourself. Your insecurity, your fear, laziness, not growing enough, not developing enough, or fill in the blank, whatever it is. You're living at a 2. Now, you're not a 5, but you're living at a 2 when you were meant to live at a 3. And that number makes all the difference. I don't know if you've ever done that before, but if you go, 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3, and then you go 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, and then you do that with 2, when you multiply it over, the number is vastly different. The number is only 1, but you went up and you multiplied it. You multiplied your leadership. And it's the same thing with leaders. For me, is because I love people and I want them to reach their potential. When I look at someone, I'm like, you are a 3, maybe even a 3.5, 4. I think your capacity is big, but you're living at a 2. I don't know why. Maybe again, you might be lazy, you might be insecure, you might be, I don't know, whatever it is, but you're living at a 2. But that is your lid. Your capacity is much greater.
And now you're talking about leadership development again, because you're bringing that person in.
Yep.
And you're helping them to see maybe something they can't see or they've not been willing to address in their life.
And as long as they're open enough to say, I don't see it in me, but if you see it in me, then let's go on a journey together. Let's do it. If they're just like, yeah, I know, and I don't want to do it, and I don't want to do the work, I'm not going to wait. I'm not spending my time. Remember, I told you before, you don't work with those that need it. You work with those that want it.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're teachable, you're reachable. So we can reach you. We can reach other levels.
Yep.
If you're teachable.
Yep. Well, hey, man, this has been a great conversation. Wow, really good conversation. Thanks so much for jumping on today. Yeah.
Hey, Chris, you're a great leader, brother. And you've impacted us immensely.
I appreciate that. I appreciate you. Love you, my friend. Have an amazing day, and thanks for being on. All right,
awesome.
See ya. Bye-bye. Hey, thanks for checking out the conversation with Darren. I hope you got a lot out of it as we talked about leadership and the importance of it. I want to encourage you again to check out churchboom.org and sign up for the Church Boom Network. Everybody should belong to a tribe of pastors that are growing together, learning together, getting better together, doing life together. You will get free exclusive webinars. You'll get monthly calls that you can get on and learn and grow, in-person events. You'll absolutely love it. So go to churchboom.org and sign up for the Church Boom Network. You will absolutely love it. We'll see you next time on the Fly on the Wall podcast.